All right, let's talk about the webcomic The Warrior Returns. This is a story that takes the whole hero's journey fantasy trope, throws it in a blender, and basically asks some really dark questions about what it even means to be a hero. So the entire story really boils down to this one question. You know how it usually goes: the hero saves the day, gets the parade, and rides off into the sunset. Well, this comic waits for the credits to roll and then asks, okay, but what happens now? And let me tell you, the answer is not pretty. I mean, think about the classic hero's journey. The expectation is simple, right? You save the world, you get the glory, and you go home a champion. But in The Warrior Returns, the reality is a complete nightmare. Saving the world makes you a weapon of mass destruction. The glory, it's gone in a flash, and people forget you. And going home, that means losing absolutely everything you ever cared about. In this world, the heroes, they become the villains. And that really gets us to the heart of the series. The biggest, most powerful heroes the world has ever seen are now its number one threat. And they're all being led by a man who was once the greatest savior of all. So meet Minsu Kim, the sword warrior. This guy did everything right. He was summoned to another world, he fought a demon lord, he bled, and he won. And the whole time, the only thing keeping him going was the thought of getting back to his family. But when he finally makes it back, he finds out they died while he was away. The world he fought so hard to return to just moved on, and he was left completely and utterly alone. And that was it. That was the moment he just broke. He completely snapped. His new mission wasn't about conquering the world or gaining power. No, it was way more twisted than that. He decided that if he had to be miserable, then everyone had to be miserable. He was going to force the entire world to feel his despair. Now, to really get why Minsu and the others fell so hard, you have to understand the system that made them in the first place. You see, being a warrior in this universe isn't some cool superpower. It's a curse. It's a monkey's paw with some seriously messed up fine print. So what even is a warrior? Well, the system basically targets kids and teenagers right as they're about to die. It yanks them out of their reality and shoves them into another world, forcing them to be child soldiers in some brutal war. If they somehow manage to win, they get sent back to Earth with all their insane powers. Just think about what that does to a person's mind. And this is where that fine print really gets you. This is not a superpower lottery you want to win. Transformation warriors, they're forced into these horrific full-body cybernetic conversions. Time warriors, they have to sacrifice decades of their own lifespan so they come back as old men. Some poor souls, like the plague warriors, get powers that are just straight up evil, forcing them into a life of villainy. And the cherry on top, once you're back on Earth, your power level is locked. You can never get stronger. And here's a wild little twist. This whole system has been going on for centuries. The story reveals that some major historical figures were actually warriors. Don Quixote? He wasn't just a crazy old man in a story. He was a time warrior who came back broken. This isn't some new problem. It's been secretly shaping human history forever. Okay, so you've got a massive villain. You need a hero to stop him, right? Well, kinda. Let's meet our protagonist. He's not exactly a shining knight in armor. He's just another product of this same broken system, and he's got his own dark agenda. This is Jong Su Park. When Minsu Kim first went on his rampage, Jong Su and his entire family were killed. But right at that moment of death, the system chose him. He was sent to the Spear World, and he fought to save it for one reason and one reason only: to get strong enough to come back to Earth and kill the man who murdered his family. And that's what makes him a game changer. Jong Su's pure, white-hot hatred for Minsu became his superpower. It let him do something that's supposed to be impossible. He shattered his power limit. He trained with such obsessive rage that he became the strongest spear warrior in history. His motivation isn't justice, it's vengeance. And in this world, that's a serious power-up. So, we've got a tragic villain versus a revenge-fueled hero. Seems like a pretty standard setup. But what if I told you none of this was an accident? That Minsu's downfall, Jong Su's quest for revenge, what if it was all meticulously planned? And that brings us to Sung Joon Lee, the Resurrection Warrior. On the surface, he looks like just another one of Minsu's fallen hero cronies. But then he drops this bombshell, revealing a terrifying truth. He wasn't just another piece in the tragedy. He was the one directing the whole show. So why on earth would he do all this? It all comes down to his power. Song Jun is immortal. He can resurrect. But, and this is a huge but, every single time he dies, whether from a fight or just old age, the entire universe resets. Time rewinds all the way back to the day he first returned to Earth. Every memory, every person he met, every bit of progress, gone. Wiped clean. Just try to wrap your head around that number. 150,000 years. Sung Jen has lived through 150,000 years of this time loop. Imagine falling in love, making friends, building a life, only to watch it get erased again and again and again. It's a fate that is literally worse than death. After all that time, he found one single, solitary loophole in his curse. The only thing that can kill him for good, that can actually break his power, is a demon lord. The problem? There are no demon lords on Earth. So, he decided to make one. He engineered Minsu's entire tragic backstory, the death of his parents, his despair, all to push the world's greatest hero off the deep end. He turned him into the one monster that could finally give him the permanent death he craves and set the universe free from his curse. So, with a story this bleak, where entire continents have been wiped out and billions of people are dead, you gotta wonder, is a happy ending even on the table? That's a question fans of the series talk about constantly. And this quote from a fan on Reddit, I think, just hits the nail on the head. People reading this aren't expecting some fairy tale ending where everything's okay. The world is too broken for that. They're here for the journey, for the quality of this dark, complicated tragedy, and they want to see it through to whatever heartbreaking conclusion is waiting. And this is pretty much the moral mess we're left with. The world is in ruins. Our quote-unquote hero is running on nothing but pure hate. The villain is actually a tragic pawn who was manipulated from the start, and the real mastermind behind it all is a guy who committed global-scale atrocities because he thought it was for the greater good. There are no good guys here. So I'll just leave you with this to chew on. In a war where every savior is a monster, and every monster used to be a hero, who are you even supposed to root for? The Warrior Returns doesn't give you a hero to cheer on. It gives you a tragedy to try and understand. And honestly, that's way more interesting.